challenge where we must, but it's better to engage to challenge than to stay aside, as it were. Important to cooperate where we can on issues like climate change, which need that cooperation. So I'm very pleased with the engagement and the progress that we've made. Thank you.
If I can just add, you know, our motivation is cutting emission, creating jobs. And this is really about that. And you will not find one scientist or political scientist addressing climate change and reaching our targets who can point to that without CCS. Because it can come from gas, which is making you know, a prolongation of gas as an energy source possible. That's important for jobs. But also the hard to abate industries like cement, for example. So if you're going to bring that down, this is the only way to do it. So this is a front runner. And what we are seeing now, if we can succeed in doing this, and you can succeed and we can succeed together, we may have turnkey concepts that can be applicable in a large context. And that's good for jobs, it's good for industry, and it's good for our kind of technological standing.
So the last questions today goes to PA.
Hi, Claudia Savage from PA. So in your discussions today about Ukraine, did you talk about the potentialities of a Trump presidency and what that will mean? The Kremlin welcomed today Trump's criticism of the use of US-backed weapons inside Russian territory. So if the US is to backtrack on that, will Storm Shadow missiles still be permitted for use by the UK? And just secondly, sorry, when will the powers from the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme come into effect? Has the delay on that enabled this Chinese spy situation? And given that it's not the first time a Chinese spy has been found to be quite high up in British life, is this a sign that the UK is the weakest link in the Five Eyes alliance?
Well, in relation to the scheme, let me deal with that straight away, because we've been working on it from day one in government, and there will be an update coming shortly, so you'll have more information in relation to that. In relation to President-elect Trump, we have both spoken to President Trump. I had dinner with him in New York a few months ago for a couple of hours, where we discussed a number of things, including Ukraine. Jonas has spoken to him on the telephone, and yes, of course, we've discussed the strategic approach that we should take as allies. The allies have stood together behind Ukraine in the face of Russian aggression. We continue to do so, but as you'd expect, we've been talking to all of our allies in relation to that, and there is this consensus that we must call it out for what it is, Russian aggression, and that we must put Ukraine in the strongest possible position. But yes, I think we both discussed this with President-elect Trump, as you would have expected.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think my perception was that the President was in a listening mode. He's been calling many colleagues in Europe, trying to find out, you know, the thinking here, and appreciating that this is complex. I think that's the right point of departure. And our message is that, you know, the sooner the Americans can define their strategy and their approach, the better, because that will bring some clarity to the approach on how this war can end.
On that note, we need to wrap up this press conference. Thank you.